One.
Hi everyone, welcome to your next lesson and your next unit in your front office content that you're learning about. This unit is about medical records, so make sure you have today's lesson title on the right side of your EN and listed in your table of contents. Today is an introduction, so we'll go over the important information you need to know. All right, for your warm-up activity for this lesson, on the left side of your EN, I'd like you to answer these questions. Why do we keep medical records on patients? So why is it important? And what is a PT Text record system document called? Go ahead and take a moment to complete those two questions and meet me back here. Our objectives for this lesson: we're going to identify the purpose of a medical record, we're going to explore the parts of a medical record, and we're going to define what the release of information form is used for. So medical records provide a written account of the health care a patient has received over time. The purpose of medical records are, there's many reasons why we keep medical records. So primarily medical records are used to provide a record of patient care, a record of communication, evidence of a patient condition changes, like if they're getting better or getting worse, legal information for billing or audits and other reasons for, finance type things, and data for research or quality control. So if we have, a bunch of knee patients that are being seen by the same facility and they're not getting better, we need to look at that and say, okay, well, maybe something's happening at that facility that patients aren't getting the best treatment of care. So it's good for data purposes in that reason also. There are different parts of a medical record. We have, this is an overview. We're going to go into each one a little bit more specifically. So we have demographics, insurance information, medical history, a place for their referral, correspondence, chart notes, and then depending on what facility you work in, if it's a primary care physician, they may have other sections in theirs, or a physical therapy office, they may have other sections in there. So the other section may be more specific to the type of treatment the patient is getting at that facility. So parts of a medical record: demographic data. This includes all their personal identifying information. So their name, their social security number, their gender, their date of birth, their address, their phone number, their marital status. So are they single? Are they married? What's their occupation? Maybe their driver's license number. It's anything that will identify this patient from someone else. This all goes into that demographic data. The next part of a medical record could be their insurance information. So this includes their name and address of the insurance carrier, and usually a copy of the patient's insurance card. So this is all the information that's used for billing purposes. Or if the patient doesn't have insurance, this is where self-pay would be listed. Medical history. Medical history includes personal and family medical history. It could be current conditions. So do they have, a fractured ankle, but also they have depression? Or it could be what conditions they're being seen for. It could be familial conditions, like if your parent has diabetes or blood pressure issues or things like that. Could be past surgeries that we need to know about, and more depending on what's being treated. So if it's, again, a specialty or, let's say like a dentist, they may want to know different information than a physical therapist. Correspondence. So correspondence includes any letters from specialists or other physicians, request of information letters, and any correspondence from the patient. This would also include fax cover sheets and confirmations of faxes sent. This is a record of any communication about this patient that has been received or sent. Referrals. This could be in the correspondence section, but it typically has its own section because it is really important that you're referring to that referral all the time. It includes copies of forms and letters sent to specialists or other physicians, insurance companies, and patients. And remember, a referral gives us the information about how many visits a patient should be seen for, what doctor is referring them, and all the important information we need to know related to their injury or condition. Chart notes. The chart notes section can include a number of different things, but it usually includes a record of visits, so dates and times the patient has visited your facility or not, so including no-shows, cancellations, and reschedules. So it gives you a good idea about what their track record is in terms of attending appointments or not attending appointments. It's also going to include evaluations. So when a therapist evaluates a patient and decides this is their range of motion or this is how we're going to treat them, that's all going to be listed in that evaluation document. And it's written by the therapist after their first visit. Progress notes. Progress notes can be written by the therapist or physical therapy assistant, and it tracks the progress of treatment. So we set out to do these treatments on the patient, and this is how it's going. This section can also include notes from the front office interactions with the patient. So if a patient calls and says, I don't know how to do my exercises, or I'm in so much more pain, what should I do? This is where they would keep notes of that. So it's, again, kind of record of interactions with the patient and something we can refer back to. So medical records may also include laboratory information, and that would be in its own section. Past medical treatment, so records sent from another medical office. Diagnostic information, this includes x-rays, films, or MRI reports, other things that may affect their recovery. And then a medication log. So a lot of times doctors will ask patients to report how many medications they're taking, what ones they're taking, all of that. And it's really important that we have that on file. So the importance of accuracy. According to the law, if no account of an incident appears in a medical record, then the incident did not exist. So if it's not recorded, it's not written into their medical record, it didn't happen. An incident can refer to an illness, a treatment, a test, an exam, a conversation, or anything else that may be related to your patient's healthcare. So an ultrasound treatment, if it's not recorded in their patient file, it didn't happen. Or a patient, if they didn't show up for their appointment, if we don't make note of it in their file, it didn't happen. So this is really important that we're keeping good records and that they're accurate because, insurance companies will look at that and they will say, we're not reimbursing you for this, or we're not doing such and such because it wasn't recorded. And it's really important, like I said, that we record all interactions and treatments. They're documented and filed correctly in the right place. So the right section in their file. So audits. On occasion, medical records may be audited for accuracy. An audit is an inspection and verification of a facility's records and supporting documents. Audits are usually unannounced and may be done by an insurance agency or by an auditing agency. So you don't know when it's happening. It's a surprise, and so you should just always be ready for it. Front office staff and technicians included must do their part to keep all records neat and orderly so that the facility does not fail their audit. There can be serious consequences to failing an audit. Release of information. According to HIPAA, the HIPAA privacy rule, patients must provide a written authorization before any PHI, personal health information, is disclosed to other people or entities. In other words, patients must sign a document giving permission for your staff to have access to their information. In addition, they may identify family member or members or friends who may access their personal health information. This document should be filed in their medical record. So for instance, if a husband calls your facility and says, when is my wife's next appointment? If he's not listed on this form, the release of information form, you cannot tell him when his wife's appointment is. So it's important to have this readily accessible and understand who the patient is comfortable releasing their information to and who they are not comfortable releasing their information to. So we've come to our cool down for this lesson. For this, I'd like you to do a sort. So on the left side of your EN, I want you to sort these documents into the right section of their chart. Progress note, insurance card, letters from the patient's doctor detailing their care, fax cover confirmation sheet, patient social security number, and those are all the ones I want you to sort. So put them into the right place, just list where they would go. And next week we will be starting on working on some record keeping. So look forward to that. And it's important that you have this introduction to medical records to understand why we'll do what we'll do next week. So go ahead and complete this lesson and the rest of your Friday assignment, and I'll see you next week.